This is Laptop Radio. Today we are going to speak about blockchain for science. We have Sönke Bartling, founder of Blockchain for Science, on the line. Sönke, are you there?
Yeah, hello, Michelle. I'm here. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yes, I'm very excited. Thanks for joining us on Laptop Radio. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, Michelle, can you do me a favor? So people will notice that I have a strong German accent and I might speak very fast. So if I do that, please remind me that I should speak slowly, especially when I'm excited about something, okay?
Okay, will do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I have a history of being a scientist in basic medical imaging. And well, this was in 2004, 2005, when I got annoyed that you can't just like click on references in a journal paper. I wondered why it is the case, right? So basically then I realized that all the science structure, the science culture and the journals and how they adapt to online things are lacking behind the possibilities that would be actually there, that could be explored, right? So then there was a time when social networks came up, social networks, and friends of mine founded a social network for scientists. It's called ResearchGate. I contributed with some ideas to that, some ideas that were good, some ideas that were dumb, but it basically flourished, and now there are 8 million scientists on this social network. Basically, it improves communication and all that we know today from what Web 2.0 can do for us, for society in general, but like for science as well. There are like 1 or 2 competitioners, but I basically got involved into what all online can do for science and research. And I wrote a book on this topic called Opening Science, which was an open access book, and it became the most downloaded book of Springer Nature in like last year or the year before last year, I forgot. And basically, so this was Web 2.0. And then I fell down the Bitcoin rabbit hole long before it was called blockchain. And then I realized, whoa, all these things that people call blockchain, self-sovereign identities, or provability to the outside of a service, or decentralization and all this stuff. This will have like high value transfers that you can do with blockchain. And basically I realized that all these things will have application in science and research as well, earlier or later. And then I decided to structure this field a little bit more, contribute to this emerging field, blockchain for science. And I do this mainly by like trailblazing, educate people, bring people together, communicate stuff, and organize conferences on this topic. Yeah, so basically that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
So I founded a think tank, and yeah, you gave a great talk at this year's conference in Berlin 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was very fun. Thanks for the invitation. I spoke about GDPR and privacy. I wanted to ask you, what is blockchain for science, and why is that important for the ecosystem?
Yeah, so first, I mean, let's take the name blockchain is a buzzword, right? It has a technology component with it, and we all, I mean, probably the listeners probably know very different aspect of blockchain, but I want to take this term and define it in a more broader meaning, talking about decentralization and new ways to organize online things, to talk about user autonomy, to basically have a service provable to the outside. And well, the first thing that people did when they stumbled upon blockchain is that basically, why don't we build a system for paper sharing, for research results sharing, for communication, science communication in a blockchain way, right? So you can upload your paper, you can do a peer review on the blockchain, and yeah, I mean, this was the very early phases of blockchain for science, and there are very valuable points or good points in doing this, but I think blockchain in science can be much more. this could be just the first step. And I think this, we witness this if a new technology comes or like emerges, the first thing that people do is basically bring the old stuff into this new world. And it's okay to organize this journal in a distributed, decentralized way, but blockchain can do much more. Yeah, blockchain can do much more in science than just like copying the old world. Especially if you think about, like, let's say, small publications. Don't think of full-blown publications. Think of, like, if you tweet your research idea, or that could become possibly a patent application at some point, or if you share research data, you want to have it bulletproof. You don't want to trust just a company, a Web 2.0 company with this valuable data. You want to have it bulletproof, attributed to you or to your research group, right? And blockchain is basically the perfect backend for this. A project, Artifact.ai, is doing something. So they are basically building so that you can, like, publish your research results much earlier than today. Today, scientists have to wait for their full-blown paper to come out, which creates a time lag between your actual invention, or the time that you acquired the research results. You have some groundbreaking findings. You have to embed them into a narrative to get it published to a journal, and it needs to be a very strong narrative. For example, if you want to get it to a high-ranking journal like Nature or Science. So this creates a big time lag between actually witnessing something, having an invention, and actually publishing it. Blockchain would allow, like, just to, like, publish these small chunks, attribute them securely to you, and then basically at some later point publish it in the full-blown paper narrative. So this would be, yeah.
So the theme of this year is new deals and new ways of science funding. Do you think that the ecosystem would love to fund these scientific ideas?
Yeah, so I mean, blockchain is good for high value transactions. So blockchain is like make something provable to the outside. We see like Bitcoin acquired a lot of value. So why don't we like rethink science funding in this context? Once you have attributed the ideas, the findings that you acquired, the data set to yourself or to your research group, imagine people can like buy into your idea, buy into this concept, fund this research. Basically, think of it as crowdfunding on steroids, so they can invest, or micro ICOs in small science projects. So and blockchain would be perfect for that, because you can like actually bulletproof the who invested what, and then if the idea flies, you can like basically attach this token or this like coin that you have shares or idea coin. Basically, you can relate it to a patent application or to whatever, maybe a company that comes out of the research project. So I think it's a great way to involve people early on in your research project or in your ideas. Give people a stake, an interest in a skin on the game, right? In your project. So
yeah.
Because if you look at how we do really innovative research today, basically you do it as you're working on something. Let's for example, you work with mice, you have some antibodies, and then you have like a crazy idea while you are like working out, and then you go to your lab the next day. You leave your stuff that you're working on normally aside, and you just try out this idea, this new concept, this new finding. If something comes out of it, you might be able to write later a grant application on this, but it creates again a lot of time lag between actually being able to collect funding or like involve people into your project, and between when you are actually doing this or you're like working on your invention. Imagine now if you like share this idea with your lab mate, and you can say if you work or contribute, you will get some tokens, some shares on this idea, some shares on this project. I give you some tokens, you help me, or you invest 200 euros, and blockchain would be an ideal way to like doing this, right? Today, if you want to file for a patent or something, you're going to the technology transfer, and you have a lot of overhead work before you are actually getting somewhere, before you have a contract or a company that you can like distribute the shares of it. Why don't you create an idea token and just distribute it to people who believe in this idea and concept? And in contrast to current crowdfunding, people could actually trade this tokens early on. So if they see and they share it with other people, with other peers, like in science peers, and want to get them involved, they can actually share their tokens or trade them early on, right? Much earlier than you could do today, right?
Yeah.
So this would be a great way to, again, to make things faster and reduce the overhead, yeah?
Yeah, how about data? Data is very important now. We're moving beyond digitalization to the analysis of data. What can we do with research data and scientific data?
Yeah, so I mean, basically what we do today in science, there's like often there are like very, very privacy critical data sets, right? If you think about patient data, a lot of blockchain projects are working on things like, well, if you contribute your data, you get some tokens and you get some revenue from it and future prospects. And if somebody files a patent from your data, then you get some shares of it. And these are all great ideas. And I'm pretty sure you find projects that are working on that. But what I'm particularly fascinated when it comes to data in research is, I mean, today all our thinking around data is like built on the notion that we either have to anonymize data, and then we like some data can't be anonymized. Like for example, your gene data, it's unique. You either destroy the data, or you can be like, it can be individually, the individual can be found, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have some unsolved problems here. So, and blockchain and some ideas that are working in this space are basically redistributing the trust around data access.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you would, I mean, imagine you can keep your data on your servers, on your computers, and you can invite an algorithm or some sort of thing over to basically do the learning on the data, extract all the information that it's allowed to extract from the data, but this data, this algorithm is constrained, just like a smart contract is constrained by being provable to the outside that runs on the blockchain. It can't look at the patient name, and it can only analyze the genes at certain positions. It can't look at other positions, or it can only release accumulate data. For example, the average blood pressure of all Bostonians in summertime. And it can only release this data with a delay of 4 weeks. Imagine what would be possible with this. At some point, we could like end up with coming to something that instead of today, we carefully have to like select who we trust all our data to do everything with it, to who we can trust all our data to do only very specific things with it. And there's, for example, the Ocean Protocol, which is in Berlin, but at some other place in the world, it's like working on these things. But I have to admit that there are some technical challenges here, right? How do you prevent data from being copied? But I mean, people are working on this, right? And really interesting things come out there. Okay, this is one thing I like. This like blockchain and data. And then there's another thing that you can basically, blockchain allows to build new incentive structures. And it basically boils down to the things that you can like basically prove who gave you a like, and you can actually prove who shared the data, right? You don't have to trust a company anymore, and that's why you actually can build accumulate all this and create new incentive structures and see who shared this data. And then basically you can distribute money to these people who shared the data, who actually basically shared high value data that a lot of people liked data sets, right? So you can basically have build new incentive structures and basically give money to the people that fulfill certain criteria with the provability of blockchain. I mean, imagine, picture that today. Imagine you would like distribute research money to somebody who tweeted something or released a data set on a Web 2.0 platform, got so and so many likes. The government would never ever give tax money to or research research money that is collected from taxpayers to likes on tweets on Twitter, because it's a company and basically they can sit down with an administrator password and change the amount of tweets. And if you have like economic pressure to like have a high amount of tweets, people can like there is an incentive for people to fake it, right? So with blockchain, you would actually have so and so many cryptographic signatures that there were actually likes to this data set, right? So these are the new incentive structures that can be built around with blockchain, and of course also for publications. Yeah.
I really enjoy blockchain for science in Berlin, and I love the different projects there. What are some of the projects that you, as the founder, loves?
Yeah, so this is like artifacts. So first of all, thank you that you brought this up. So there was a conference last year. It was like there was a lot of hype. There were even ICO-driven projects in science, and a lot of people came by just to see what is blockchain in science. Am I missing out? FOMO was there, and people were skeptic. Of course, they were skeptic, like blockchain. It's just like nothing, not good for anything, or is it just a hype and everything, right? So I was really happy that this year's conference, by the way, the videos are online by today, was like, there was less hype, but really substance. So we had like postdocs from research institutes. We had like projects that go into alpha phase now. They actually have a project, they have good funding. They are like releasing a product that actually is using blockchain. So what I like most are the winners of the conference, and I was not in the committee, and this is like Artifacts AI. So they basically do this micro publications that are accountable to publishers, and they embed it in MATLAB, and so that you can actually really share your results in MATLAB and have it accounted to your ORCID ID, for example, bulletproof blockchain. And then there's Molecule TO. They do basically these new methods of science funding, where you can invest in molecules early on, basically, but you can also at later stage can be used for to like fund all kind of blockchain projects. And then there's Max Planck Digital Library with the BlockSpec project. They basically built an infrastructure, and there are like a lot of noteworthy research institutes all over the world. I think these are like almost 30 research institutes that basically will run nodes or are running nodes in blockchain for science. You don't need to have mining blockchain. And I think the audience understands that. So basically they are building an Ethereum blockchain that can be used for like as a backend for all the other projects, right? And they are like really known institutes part of this. And then they are like, I think these are all the projects. Well, one topic that wasn't at the conference this year was like that DAOs are just a great tool for science as well to organize the science commons. There was a great talk on reorganizing the science commons through the novel incentive structures, through the crypto economy, but of course DAOs, right? For example, today, if you write a grant proposal, you have to like write a big proposal, then you send it, and there will be a review committee, and then you have to like write how you spend the money, report, and then you have to like do the same thing in accounting again with your institute and how the money, and then you have to like actually change the real money with the companies to buy stuff and pay salaries and everything. And so you have a lot of media breaches, and you do things like 3, 4, 5 times the same. If this blockchain as a mean of consequent digitization, you could all do in one thing, in one entity, right? You would have accounting, you would have the money spending, you would have the voting, the committees on all the projects, how you spend the money. It's just in one system. So you can like reduce the overhead that is involved in current science world a lot, right? So
Sönke, what is your vision? What is your vision for blockchain for science? I think there are a lot of medical AI blockchain token-based companies. However, science and medical AI and blockchain companies are a little bit different, right? Because science, we can play with hypotheses and we can test different ideas. We do a lot of research. However, the health is a little bit different because we're gathering data from the audience, right? So
yeah,
even with GDPR, research is an exception. Health data is personal data. So what do you think the vision would be for scientific research and using blockchain to enhance science?
yeah, that is a great question. And the project that you mentioned that are combining critical data with AI and blockchain are great projects. And they are one part of the blockchain for science ecosystem of the future. They are like solving a very critical thing, and I really like the project. But blockchain for science will basically experiment with all the other things that are like important in this field. Novel incentive structures, overhead reduction, new publication, communication infrastructure, new ways of funding science, crowdfunding on steroids to involve people, to reorganize how actually science is done, to like break with the current institutes and research groups and maybe allow like more decentralized aim-based projects. So have researchers from different work groups work together and organize the cooperation in a new way, using the data that comes from AI and healthcare critical data, and basically create for them an incentive, a bulletproof incentive to like work together, right? We had things, we had big visions with Web 2.0 for science, and there were like narratives that are repeated today. For example, even with social network for science, we wanted to like break open the publishers, allow cooperation beyond the limits of current corporations, of current institutes, and it didn't come out. They contribute a lot, and they are really great projects, and Twitter is a great tool for scientists, and Google Docs and all these things, right? But there can be more, right? And I think if we can like have people create bulletproof attributions of their work to projects and beyond the limit of current institutions, I think this could be a breaking thing, that we actually have more collaboration and more cooperation in different ways. There's like this thing that we have like the sort of co-working or no, like rent spaces, co-working spaces for scientists. Like for example, Lab Central. So you have an idea, you can just like work on it for a short time. You pay some money for a 3 months rent of this working space. And it would be a great way to organize it in a DAO way on the blockchain, right? So if you have other people that want to contribute for that, right? So this is basically the vision.
I think for science, more brains are better than one, right?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and some are afraid that they are not getting attributed if they share their ideas, right? And this is very sad. If they have a bulletproof attribution, and maybe even can like get money from it. And so if we could make greed work for science in a constructive way, this would be an awesome achievement, right? Imagine we would have Goldman Sachs people instead of looking at patents and where they can like constrain people of using the new drugs, we would have them look in early stages ideas and like look through the microscope maybe where to throw money at, right? That
So
would be a cool thing, right?
yeah. So Sönke, you're a radiologist. So you're
Yeah.
pretty much a scientist yourself. And for next year, Blockchain for Science, what are you looking forward to?
For the conference, yeah. So we became serious. So people take us serious. We matured, and we will continue with this. And there will be a next year conference again. And we hope we will get even more people from research institutes involved. And I have some people that came and they want to contribute and help. And we are looking for sponsors, of course, and everything. And and I'm looking forward to see projects or ideas fail that don't work out because it's important, and others that are like that will work out and that will become something. And I wish the projects that are in the field, I mentioned them, I wish them good luck, and I want to contribute them. I want to like support them. Yeah.
And where do people find you?
www.blockchain for just Google Blockchain for Science or Blockchain for Science conference. Yeah.
And Sönke, for the scientific community here and around the world, what is one advice that you have for the community who is interested in science or who is interested in looking at blockchain and science?
You mean in terms of like which institutes or
Just
science?
Yeah, just any advice you wanted to give to the community who's interested in science or blockchain for science or even technology for science.
Yeah, so this is like, I mean, everybody should be into, I mean, science is where new things come to the world, right? So this is, I think, this is the most important field, right? I mean, like blockchain for real estate or blockchain for whatever. You're basically maintain the status or like distribute goods and stuff, right? So if you really want to create something new, you have to look into science and research, and blockchain will affect this field and will like maybe make it more open, get more people involved, even people that didn't consider themselves scientists can get involved in new ways, right?
Yeah, that's true. So I just wanted to thank you for being here and joining us. I know you're dialing in from Germany.
Austria, to be precise.
Oh, Austria. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Okay, I guess you like migrated. We're international.
For a skiing holiday. Yeah, you are international. You're traveling.
And is there anything you wanted to share that I haven't asked you?
No, that is great. Great question. Thank you very much. Yeah, you really dived into the field. Yeah, and thank you for having you at the conference, and looking forward to meet you again at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.